Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Uniquely Me with Simone Stewart. Guys, today with me I have, I call her a diva educator, but we're not going to talk about that side. We're going to be talking about the motivational speaker, the woman who has encountered miracles upon miracles upon miracles, and we're going to hear from her standpoint, in our little chit chat. She says, I'm not a Christian like you, but we can talk about miracles. So we're going to hear from her because do you need to be a Christian to experience miracles? I don't know. What says you? Well, guys, get your popcorn, get your glass of wine, whatever it is, and get ready because I'm about to reveal to you an awesome woman. How important is a new year or a new beginning with reference to spiritual endeavors? Does it need to be connected to something spiritual? How do you prepare for a new year in the midst of a pandemic? Guys, join me December 26, 2021 at 5 p.m. on our YouTube channel with guests such as Tanisha Shaw, Heather White Davis, and Dr. Shalette Ashman. I tell you, it is going to be lit. My co-host is going to be Latoya Smith, and if you know her well, you know we are a good pair when it comes to hosting various programs. So guys, mark your calendars and make sure you are there for Transformational Chat. See you then.
Uniquely me is uniquely you. Balancing the different hats of life, achieving all your goals in the name of Christ. Uniquely me is uniquely you. You can do anything. With the S on your chest, you can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. You are a winner and you're an overcomer. You can be all things to Christ who gives you strength, yeah. You are a fighter, you're so determined. Uniquely me is uniquely you.
So welcome back to Uniquely Me with Simone Stewart, guys. So I know you've been wondering, who do I have? But of course you've seen the trailer and all of that. So welcome, Dr. Shalette Ashman. Doc, how are you?
I'm very well, Simone, and thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Listen, guys, we're filming on her set, and I am absolutely loving it. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for being here, Simone, and thank you for having me as well.
Awesome. So, Doc, who are you for starters? Because we want to get the doc out of the way, the Dr. Ashman out of the way, so we can move into Shalette, because that's what we want to talk about today. But tell us, who is Dr. Ashman?
All right, so first I would say I'm a daughter, a granddaughter, because my grandmother and my mother, they are the most important persons to me. So I'm a daughter, I'm a granddaughter. Mm-hmm. And then I'm an author, I'm an educator, and I am an inspirational speaker, among other things. And of course, I can't forget to say that I'm an entrepreneur. So I've been in business for myself for many, many years.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I must tell you that when I was researching you, when I saw all of it, I said, "Ooh, this is a diva educator." And then I realized that your page said diva. But has it ever occurred to you that persons look at you as a diva?
Well, I do brand myself as diva educator because I love fashion. Mm-hmm. I love to dress up. I accept me for how I look, who I am, and I just present myself to the world the way I want to. Mm-hmm. And I consider myself a diva. Beautiful, gorgeous, So I am a diva.
Awesome. So I know persons might be wondering with the face, are you an African? Are you Jamaican? Which country are you from? Talk to us about that.
I'm Jamaican. I was born in Grandspen, the inner city community of Grandspen. Grew up in Jamaica, but I really do embrace my blackness, and I do love the African side of my being.
Yes. All right. So, Doc, today, I'm going to call you Shalette.
Perfect.
When you were growing up, what did you want to be?
All right. So, you know what? To be honest, I did not want to be poor. So I'm not going to tell you that I wanted to be a teacher, a lawyer, a doctor. I just knew that I didn't want to be poor because, you know, I'll tell people that when I was growing up, I knew what poverty was.
Yeah.
So I used to sell callaloo on the streets in Grand Spen. I used to walk up and down barefoot and sell guinep, sell at the stop sign, you know. That was part of my upbringing, you know. I used to sell coal and that kind of a thing. So, you know, I knew poverty. I used to go to school hungry without lunch money. I give the joke all the time when I was attending Merle Grove. I would run on the track team because I get free lunch. And I mean, I was pretty good. I was champion girl for many years. But when track was over, I would play on the netball team because I get free lunch. I didn't even make the team. I was a reserve. But because, you know, I got free lunch, I would do that, you know. So, I mean, I grew up hustling, and I made up my mind from early that that could not be, you know, my future. So I wanted to be successful.
You know, as I listen to you, Doc, you're reminding me of my own childhood. So I'm from Flankers in Montego Bay, so everybody knows that. But where we were on the backside of Flankers, meaning taxis couldn't come around there. There was no road. There was no street light. And I remember constantly recognizing that when I come off the taxi, we had to come off what we call at the top of the road, and then you had to walk through these tracks to go down. And I was determined, I'm not going to continue this. And I think it was last week, somebody asked me, you know, how did you know where you wanted to go? And I don't know, there was just something on the inside of me that said, this is not how I'm going to continue.
Exactly.
Right? I'm going to make something of myself. I never know how, but I was determined.
Yes.
So you left Merle Grove and you went on to where?
All right, so, and this I want for persons who were not successful in high school. This is for you guys. So I left Merle Grove with 4 subjects, and, you know, still with that innate desire that I was going to succeed. And I went to UTech. Well, at the time it was CAST. And I remember when I applied to CAST, I didn't get in. And I went into the, I don't remember, I think she was called the director, but I went to the computer school. And I remember going into her office and said, just give me a chance. At the time, they needed 5 subjects. I had 4, and they wanted 5 subjects, including math. I didn't have math. And I remember sitting in her office from morning until about 5 o'clock. That woman went, she came back, she went, and then, you know, she was really annoyed. And she said, you know what, I'm going to give you a chance, but you better get that maths within a certain time. And let me tell you something, I passed maths, I passed A-levels the next year. So within the time that she gave me, you know, I was able to do that. So I went from Merle Grove straight into UTech, and, you know, I've never stopped. You know?
You found it, what we call them destiny helpers. You know, somebody to believe in us, somebody to kind of push us, if you understand what I mean, push us out of our comfort zone. It sounds to me like you found that.
Yes, I did. Actually, I tell the story, I will never call his name, but he know who he is. I remember when I just left fifth form, and he said to me, Shalette, you know, I have a master's, and when I got my bachelor's, I got a car. And I was thinking, oh, if I go and get a bachelor's, and I was saying, why don't I get a Spencer's? Because, I mean, honestly, I didn't even really understood the whole education system, you know? So he was telling me, you know, when I got my bachelor's, I got a car. So I thought the university, when you graduate, they would give you a car. So I was so motivated to go and get this bachelor's. So yeah, he was somebody who, you know, planted the seed in my head that, you know, going back to school was a good thing, and getting a higher education was the way to go.
I want us to now drift a little to what we call miracles. So we've spoken a lot about it. And matter of fact, that's what I'm actually titling this episode. God is still in the miracle working business. Can you remember the first time you came in contact with what you think is a miracle, or you believe to have been a miracle?
I can't remember the first time, but I know so many things that I term miracles. I consider something a miracle when I can't explain how it happened. That's what I consider a miracle. So many things happened in my life that I consider miracles. The first I can't remember the first time, Simone, but what is significant is in 2000, I think it was, something happened that led me to even start at the theological seminary. I was like, no, I'm going to be a pastor because this can't be normal. I'm going to tell you about that. So I remember things used to happen before, but I want to tell you about this one because this is significant. I remember going to my bed and I dreamt a particular person. I dreamt that they were being carried out of their house. The undertakers were taking them out of their house. And the person was normal and healthy. And you know, I felt the urge to go to the person and say, hey, what's going on with you? You know, are you okay? And I went to him and I said, you know, what's going on with you? Are you okay? And he said, yeah, he's fine. And I said, you know, is everything, you know, like I was still prodding, you know, is everything okay? And he said, well, you know, last week somebody shoot after me. He was a policeman. And I said, just be careful. Because, you know, I had the dream and it was so vivid. And Simone, let me tell you something. Within 6 months, the undertakers took his body out. He died.
Oh my God.
And when it happened, I was so shaken. And, you know, I said, boy, you know, maybe God is calling me, maybe I'm seeing things, and those things used to just happen. So I was going to do my master's in business at the time, and I said, you know what, let me get into the seminary because maybe I need to be a pastor. And I actually got in and I did the first term, and luckily the first course was about the role of pastors. And then after doing the course, I got an A, but I realized God wasn't calling me, I was calling myself. Because when I realized, you know, the stress that pastors undergo and the role, I realized that that wasn't what, you know, I was supposed to do. And that is how I, you know, started doing inspirational speaking. But these unexplainable things have happened, you know, like what we're going to share all through my life. But this one pushed me to say, you know, this something strange is happening to me.
I like your definition. I like your definition of miracles, things that we can't explain.
Right.
And we have seen, you know, so many persons trying to explain things away, using nature and that kind of thing. But you've alluded them to God. But yet, if we were to ask, are you a Christian? Well, maybe I should ask, are you a Christian?
Well, I grew up in a Christian country, but the way persons perceive God and Jesus and Christianity, that is not my conceptualization. But yes, I believe in God. I call God the world boss. I believe that I was created by a higher force who I call God and who I worship. So yeah, I'm a spiritual person. I'm a Christian, you know, I do adhere to the Christian faith, but I may not worship like the traditional Christian person.
I asked that, you see, because I wanted to get that out of the way. It is a Christian channel. Well, I should say, I don't know if I should say that, meaning that I am a Christian, and the bulk of what I do is Christian based. And at the same time, I don't want to tie that in because I want to clarify. We're not overly religion, but Jesus is the base, if you understand what I mean. But there are persons who are watching who will say, well, what are you talking about if you're not a Christian? And then can miracles happen without Jesus and that kind of thing? But I don't know if I don't want to dig into that. What I want to talk about is your experience.
Okay, so let me just clarify. I'm highly spiritual, and I do believe in God. And yes, I conform to Christian principles. But like I said, I am not maybe I should say I'm not a religious person in the sense that a lot of the things that Christians do, I don't do.
All right. So I'm going to dig, and if you will indulge me a little. So our Christian principles ought to be based on the Bible.
Right.
And so a true Christian, a true child of God, their life ought to be depicting the word of God, or they should be practicing the stuff, the principles in the word of the Lord. Are you saying that you don't practice the things that are in the word of the Lord?
Well, let's put it this way, Simone. I pray to God every day, and I just ask God to guide my life. The main thing that I practice is the thing that disciples asked Jesus. You know, we have all these commandments, we have all these things, but what is the greatest? And you know what he said? Love. And and I do practice that. I have my own principles that guide my life. So I don't know if that answers what you're asking, but I'm not highly religious, but I have this strong belief in God.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. All right, so we won't dig into that. When we're doing our religious hard talk segment, then we will come back to that.
Okay.
I one of the things that stood out for me with the miracles that you've actually encountered was the one with the bleach. And I'm starting there to dig into some others because that one is out. That's actually on your channel. But I want you to, so I don't know if a number of persons know, but I want you to share with us what happened. And I will tell you, well, after you start telling, then I'll tell you there's a part in there which I wondered, why the heck did you do that? But tell us about that bleach experience.
All right, so let me tell you about the bleach experience. And that was 2021, right? So the bleach experience is significant, and that is what actually pulled me back into start talking about miracles, right?
Yeah.
So, you know how I tell you that there is a God? I mean, yes, there is a God.
Yeah.
You know, on September 11th this year, 2021, well, we're in this year. No, you might be watching this another year. But on September 11th, I remember at 1 o'clock, I got a text message from a prominent Jamaican, somebody who I would suspect wouldn't have time for me, honestly. It was 1 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I mean, and the person said, you know, you're on my mind, you know, you're just all day yesterday, you were just before me, you're just in my spirit, and I would love to invite you to church tomorrow. No, I am not the type of person who go to church every Sunday, you know, but I said, okay, I'm gonna go to church. I'm gonna go to church with the person. Okay, it's on Zoom, so I'm gonna go. And you know, I was just reflecting in myself. You know, at the time I was at a very good place financially, emotionally. I was really good.
Yeah.
And you know, I said, boy, maybe I can't accept some of the things that Christians do. And let me tell you what I mean. For example, I have a problem with a pastor who will take money from persons who are struggling. Those are some of the things that I have problem with. When I say some of the things that I don't do, that regular Christians do, I have a problem with somebody just taking money. I have a problem with people not helping other people. So those are some of the things that I really have a problem with, you know. So anyway, I decided that I was going to go and think, and I went. And you know, coming out of the service the morning, it's like I rededicated my life to God, and I said, you know what, maybe I should just start going back to church, because I was the type of person who, when I was going to church regularly, I would teach at church for free, I would volunteer, I did motivational sessions and whatever. So I said, you know, maybe, you know, the little things that I have a problem with, I should just forget about it and just find myself back in a church, you know. So I made peace in my mind. And you know, that day I had some bleach in my bathroom, and I was going to clean the bathroom. And I thought about it, and I said, why am I cleaning the bathroom? And my housekeeper is going to come the Wednesday. I think we were on lockdown. And I said, you know, maybe I should just wait until she gets here and let her do the cleaning, you know? Because, I mean, at my house, I live alone, so there isn't much cleaning to do. So I took the bleach and I put it in the kitchen. It was like half a glass of bleach, a lot of bleach. And you know, I put the bleach in the kitchen, and you know, I went upstairs and I was using my computer, and I felt very thirsty. I came downstairs and I saw the bleach on the counter, but because I live alone, any water that is drunk in the house, I would be the person who would have drank the water. So I just took up the glass and I just drank it. The entire glass full of bleach. Well, not full, half full of bleach. Now, when I drank the bleach, I did not realize that I drank the bleach. It was the bleach that I drank. But when I drank it, I still felt thirsty. And I said to myself, okay, I'm going to drink some water, because I was still thirsty. But, you know, in my refrigerator, I have water in bottles. And I didn't reach for a bottle. Normally, I would reach for a bottle. Once I enter the refrigerator, I would take a bottle. I didn't take a bottle. There's a jug that I put boiled water in. And I reach for that jug. And when I pour the water from the jug into the glass, the reaction between the water and the remnants of the bleach, a reaction occurred, and I started smelling the bleach. That's when I smelled the bleach. And I realized, whoa, I drank the bleach. And let me tell you something, Simone. when that reality hit me, it was within a couple seconds of me drinking the half a glass of bleach. You know, I ran downstairs and I started screaming, murder, 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 you know. And, you know, my neighbors came and they carried me to the hospital. And let me tell you something, within 15 minutes, I mean, when I went up to UA, I mean, the place was packed with patients outside, COVID patients, blah, blah, blah. I got through within 15 minutes. I was strung up. They were flushing my system. And, you know, I was in the hospital. And I was just reflecting. And I said, you know what? Suppose I hadn't gone to the refrigerator and poured the water from the jug, and that reaction occurred with the remnants of the bleach and the water, I would have just gone to bed, slept off, and I don't know what would have happened. And I said, you know, what is it that I need to do before I leave this earth? And the one thing that came to me was the fact that years ago, the Spirit of God had asked me to talk about the miracles that, you know, happened in my life. Didn't say write a book. Didn't say become an evangelist. Didn't say preach. Just say you need to let people know that God lives and that miracles do occur. And I just took up back the whole project. And here I am today.
You know, I remember when we had this conversation first. I don't know if I told you, I was on the road and I thought about it long and hard. And I think about the awesomeness of God. And we call it purpose can die, right? And it's so amazing that for you, the first thing that came to your mind, you know, once you were settled down is, God, what is it that you really want me to be doing?
Yes.
You know? But before I go there, let me ask you something. Who want me to get you the bleach in the glass?
Because let me tell you what, I was using the jacuzzi and I was having wine because I love to just relax on, you know, on the weekends. And I was using my jacuzzi and I had a glass of wine, and it was the glass that I left on the ledge of the jacuzzi. So when I decided to clean it, I went downstairs now for the bleach, poured it in that very glass, and you know, was going to use that now to clean it because I don't like to use the same bleach that I'm using in the kitchen, the bottle in my bathroom. So I poured the bleach in the glass and then took the bottle downstairs. So
well, you know, I want to bless God for starters that you're still here.
Yes.
And it reminded me of I went to a book launch the other day, and the theme was I'm still here. I actually was a guest speaker, and I went seeking the face of the Lord on the theme. And you know what the Lord said to me? The Lord sent me to Ezekiel, the dry bones. And the question was, can these dry bones live? And so the Lord asked the prophet, can these dry bones live? And the prophet said, Lord, thou knowest. And as a result, the Lord said, speak your way out, speak to the dry bones. And so here it is that Shalette, who knows, God is giving you, saying to you now, speak. And I want to also say something to you too, sister, that we don't necessarily, God, He looks for willing vessels. So here, no, I know I'm digging into some deep stuff. There's an interview I have on the channel with Ricardo Sims. Ricardo is a male that for 33 years lived as a female. And his encounter, nobody came preaching to him to say, hey, what you're doing is wrong. What happened? He will tell you he had an encounter with God for 3 days. And the encounter was so impactful that he went and he did surgery to remove all the female stuff off himself and has started living as a male. Now, those kinds of conversion can only come from an impact, a connection with God that cannot be explained. And so I'm listening to you, sister, and as you've shared, you know, about the fact that the Lord has now reminded you that, listen, I want you to come back and talk about miracles. We're in a time, to Shalette, where God wants, I honestly think that God wants us to come to that reality that, listen, it's either God or none. Because, and I say this too, because the church doors have been closed for a while because of COVID. And there are a number of persons who have become dependent on pastor laying hands, pastor prophesying and that kind of thing. Instead of looking at the fact that, one, you get up in the morning and you're not feeling so well, He's given you His word to speak. Get up, you know what I mean, and that kind of thing. So God has given you an encounter that the truth is, Shalette, you can't even take no credit for it.
Exactly.
Because you think about it, a half glass of bleach, guys, a half glass of bleach. And look at this wonderful woman sitting here, and she shared with you how God has delivered and brought her through. So Shalette, so that was one incident of you experiencing the hand of God. And like you defined earlier, that miracles are those things that you can't define with the natural and the physical things. I saw another incident or an episode where you shared, I don't know if it was yours, it was a story of a friend who was living overseas or is living overseas, pregnant, her husband not there. Is that a real story?
That's a real story. But Simone, I don't even consider the Bleach a miracle.
Yeah.
I just consider it a wake-up call. But let me tell you,
I like
the miracles I'm talking about. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to share the story about my friend who, in 2001, I think it was, I went to the States. And for some reason, I memorized her address. I know the address even now.
Yeah.
And let me tell you this. That I think is a miracle. Went to the States and she was pregnant.
Yeah.
She was about 6 months pregnant at the time. And when I went, she just looked weird to me. I've never been pregnant. I'm not around pregnant people. She just looked swollen. So I asked her if she was okay the very day I went. And she said, yeah, well, she's not feeling so well, you know. So went to bed. We went to bed. She was my best friend. We went to bed, and I got up at about 4 o'clock or thereabout.
Yeah.
And I just got up, and at the time I called a friend, and at that time at 4 o'clock, and was talking to the person. And for the first time, the friend said to me, "Look, I'll call you back."
Yeah.
Right. Normally, I am the one who hung up on that guy, and he said, "I will call you back." And let me tell you something. When he said he would call me back, I went outside the living room, and I started turning on the television. And to turn on a television is not hard. It's just to press the remote, the power button, and the television would come on. No, I pressed the power button and the TV would not come on. I pressed the power button, it wouldn't come on. I think I even got up and pressed it, and the TV would not turn on. And like a spirit said to me, "Go and wake up your friend and make her come turn on the TV." And I'm talking to myself, I'm like, that is so disgusting. Why would I wake my friend up? She's 6 months pregnant. She don't even look so well. I mean, I'm not going to do that. And the spirit just kept saying to me, "Go wake her up and tell her to come turn on the TV." So I went and I woke her up, and she said, "What are you waking me up for?" And I said, "Listen, come and turn on the TV." And she said, "You really wake me up for turn on TV?" I mean, she was so annoyed. And I said, "Come on, come turn on the TV." And then she came in the living room, and Simone, I kid you not, she pressed the power button and the TV came on, just like that. Anyway, she sat in the chair, and I lay down and I put my head in her lap, and there was a book on her center table, and I picked it up. And as I opened the book, I turned to the topic of edema. And I was just reading. I said, maybe you have edema, like water retaining in your body. And I was just chatting. And, after a while, she said to me, maybe about 5 or 10 minutes into us, bonding on the chair, she said to me, "Shalette, just be calm a little bit. You see the light?" I said, "No, I'm not seeing the light." And she said, "See the light there, man, the light coming to us." And let me tell you something. Like I moved, I shifted, and she just dropped and started foaming at the mouth. She just had a seizure, and and I just jumped over her, ran to the phone, because I used to see on television that you call 911. And I called 911, and when I did, they asked me where I was, and I was able to tell them 1836, and I remember the address even now. And the ambulance came and they took her to the hospital. But the interesting thing was that when I went to the hospital, the doctor asked me what happened, and he said, "You know what? If you didn't wake her up, she'd have died in her sleep."
Wow.
She'd have gotten a seizure in her sleep. She was that ill. And it was the fact that I woke her up. Or that, this something inside of me, because I'm not that uncaring, but something was just telling me, just go and wake her up. And the fact that, if that television had come on, I would not have woken her up.
That's true.
And it's just so not in my nature to do something like that. So that to me was significant. But what made me what prompted me to start wanting to talk about miracles was a lot of things happened in my life, like you would read in my book, God is in the Miracle Working Business. That's gonna be on Amazon. But a lot of things happened, as you will see in that book. But what prompted me, or how I believe that God wanted me to talk about this, was I don't remember the year, it could have been 2015. I had an insurance policy. I always have health insurance, and I was in the States, and I don't know if it's 2015 or 2013, one of those years, I don't remember the year, but I had an insurance policy and I did not have money to pay that policy. And I was in Florida and I didn't pay that policy for about 3 months. And in my head, I was saying, okay, this policy is lapsed because this is the US. They don't play. It's not, even in Jamaica, if you don't pay a policy for a while, it's going to be lapsed. And like a voice said to me, call the insurance company. So I called the insurance company, and the person who answered the phone, asked me for my policy information and so on. I was alone on that policy, so nobody was on the policy with me. And I gave them my information, and she pulled the policy. She said, "Oh, the policy is active." And I'm like, "Active? That's impossible." She said, "Yeah, man, this policy is active. As a matter of fact, it has a note on it that says, 'Do not cancel.'" And I'm like, "Really?" She said, "Yeah, you must have called and asked us not to cancel the policy." I'm like, "No, it was a humana policy." I'm like, "No, I did not." I said, "As a matter of fact, I did not even know that you could call and ask for you to hold the policy, So she said, "Yeah, man, well, she didn't say, 'Yeah, man.'" She said, "Yes, somebody called and, whatever." And I'm like, "But I am the only one on that policy. And of course, nobody can call on your policy if they're not on it. They're not going to give them information or anything." Anyway, she went back and forth, asking me if I was sure, and I'm 100% sure. Anyways, she said the policy has a do not cancel note, and I asked her when that do not cancel note would have been up, and she told me, like she'd say, the 25th of August. No, I would have been getting some money on that time to take care of the policy. And I thought, she asked me if I believe in miracles, and I said yes, because she said she could not even see who wrote the note on the policy. So she says normally when an agent makes a note on a computer, the system would track to say, okay, this came from Simone's computer, whoever made the note. She couldn't find that person, and I'm telling her that I didn't call in, and she said, "Miss, do you believe in miracles?" And I said yes. And she said, "Well, consider this a miracle." And as I was driving along the road, and as I drove, it's like the Spirit said to me, "Shalette, now when are you going to talk about all these things?" And that was the first time I felt like I was being directed to talk about some of the things that I've written about.
And uniquely me is uniquely you.
Hi guys, I thought I would share with you, for those of you looking for a Christmas gift or a New Year gift or a birthday gift, for that woman, that strong woman in your life, to offer the Uniquely Me Planner. Now, what can you find in the Uniquely Me Planner? You can find pages to write for each month. You have pages to write your goals, and we set it up so that those goals are smart, right? As you know, your goals need to be smart. So we have the specific, the measurable, the attainable, the relevant, and we put them in blocks so that you are able to fill them in accordingly. Also, you will find a daily to-do list, as well as for each day, if you need to put your calendar, what your calendar items will be, you have that as well. There's also a habit tracker, guys, or as well as a quote. There is a list for you to put what are your list of priorities in terms of things to be done. And of course, guys, we have pages and pages of that. We give you blank pages as well. So this is also, it is your diary, it's your planner, it's your time management tool is what I would call it. I want to encourage women who are creatives, women who are executives out there as well. You are trying to find a way to be productive. Here is your tool. And so guys, it's on Amazon. Just put in Uniquely Me Planner, or you can put in Simone Stewart and grab a copy of my Uniquely Me Planner. Guys, remember, Uniquely Me is uniquely you. Get your copy today.
Uniquely me is uniquely you.
So you know what I'm wondering now? Your delay to talk, because that was 2015.
Yes.
And then come your real wake up in 2021.
Yes.
But what I don't think persons know is that you started writing your miracle book in 2014.
Yes. I started from then. Yeah, I started a long time ago. And honestly, there were times when the urge to write about these things was just so strong. I was saying, I wonder if when I write this book, I'm going to die. I was genuinely afraid to write the book. But I'm going to share one of the miracles that I love to talk about.
Yeah.
I love to talk about the miracle of the $350 because that to me, I mean, somebody has to explain that to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there are going to be persons who say, there's nothing called miracles, but you explain this to me.
Yeah.
All right? Now, I remember there was a Friday evening that I needed $350 to pay my rent, my portion of the rent, my part of the rent.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have it, Simone. And when I was in graduate school or postgraduate school, and I was doing my PhD, I used to sell art in Florida. So I would have these pieces in numerous galleries.
Yeah.
And that day I said to myself, okay, I don't have the money. I was actually working. So I was actually in a job. So don't remember the year that this happened, but I was in a job. I remember I was driving a nice Honda Accord, and I remember that these galleries had my work. And I would go to the galleries. That particular day, I drove around to every gallery that was selling for me, and nobody sold anything.
Wow.
Like, I just didn't make any money. No, at that time, I was working hard in the church, right? I was teaching. I was living a good life. I was trying not to lie. I was trying not to steal. I wasn't committing fornication or adultery. I was living, to me, what would be considered an upright life, a good Christian life. And that evening I was having a conversation with God, and I was saying, God, seriously, you mean someone want $350 and you can't provide it? And heaven is not in recession? And I was really talking to God. I wasn't playing. I wasn't being nice. I was just going to him and saying, come on, man, you can do better than this. And I was just very angry. And it's like the Spirit said to me, go to church. This is a Friday evening. And I'm like, why should I go to church? I mean, nothing is happening at church. And I went to church. And when I went to church, I remember sitting over the left-hand side. There was a gentleman at church. His name is Neil Ellis from the Bahamas. Never seen him before. I was well dressed because I was actually coming from work that day.
Yeah.
And when I went to church, I remember he said to us, to the congregation, praise God. Like he would say, raise your hand and praise the Lord. And I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I was just so vexed. And I'm like, I'm not even gonna raise my hand. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just vexed. I'm just sit down and fold my hand. I'm like, man, I do nothing. Anyway, he said, if you can't obey me, how are you gonna obey God?
Yes.
And it just touched me, and I said, oh my God, I felt ashamed, and I got up and I sat in the middle of the church. I started listening to the message. So he was preaching from Genesis 26. To this day I remember it. And it was talking about a famine that was in a land. And he was saying that there was a famine in a land, and God said to the man, I don't remember the name of the man, it could have been Isaac, I think the man's name was, I don't remember, but it was one of those prominent Bible figures. And God said to him, do not go down to Egypt, because when there's a famine in the land, the people would go to Egypt to get food. So God was saying to this man, stay in Gerar. That's where the famine was. And I'm like, but that is stupid. Why would God tell this man to stay in Gerar when he can go down to Egypt and get food? And I am listening to the message, and I'm internalizing, and I'm talking to myself. And the message continued that the man stayed where he was. So the man obeyed God. And God now told the man to plant in the famine. I'm like, no, God, this is crazy. Why would you tell the man to plant in the famine? How can you plant in a famine? And then I started internalizing, and I'm saying, okay, I'm having a financial famine in my life. So maybe God is telling me to do something, to start something. And that is how I started my e-learning business, Go GSAT. At that church service, I made a vow in my mind that, in this financial famine, I'm going to start my business. And that business has been extremely successful.
Yes.
Anyway, so the man was saying that the man planted in the famine. And Simone, I don't know if you believe this, but it's in the Bible. The Bible says that the man reaped 100-fold. So it means that everything that he planted bore. And not only that the man reaped 100-fold, and then the Bible says, and God bless him. So the 100-fold wasn't even his blessing. And I was just in the spirit with the pastor, and I was like, wow. Anyway, in the middle of the sermon, the pastor stopped, and he said, what are you doing here? So, the lady behind me, she just jumped up and said, no. He said, what is your name? The lady behind me, she said, oh, like she'd say, I'm Sister Simone. And he said, no, man, not you. This lady right here. That was me. I said, I'm Shalette. And he said, Shalette, what are are you doing here?
Yeah.
I said, I just finished my master's. Okay, so it would have been about 2005. So you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
These things have been happening for years. And he said, oh, just finish your master's. And I said, yes. And he said, started prophesying over my life, I see great things in the future, blah, blah, blah. If I ever tell you what God has planned for you, to blow your mind. And I'm like, please tell me, come on here. And he didn't tell, he prophesied. Then he finished his sermon, and when he was finished with the sermon, Simone, believe it or not, he said, stand, and I stood. And he said, spell your name, and I spelled my name. And the pastor handed me a check for $350. I was so ashamed, because 20 minutes ago or 25 minutes ago, I was there arguing with God. I was saying, God, you can't give me $350?
Yep.
And God just showed me up in 25 minutes. The pastor don't know me. I don't know this man, and the man just handed me a check.
Yes.
For $350. Didn't say a word to me, just gave me the check. And Simone, I mean, it is stories like those.
Yeah.
Now, people who don't believe in miracle, please, may I beg explain what happened, because I never came and told this man I wanted $350.
Yeah.
So it's things like those, and it's not just money.
Yeah.
I have seen some strange things that I've written about that is inexplicable.
Yeah.
That makes me know and that God is real.
Yeah.
And that he still does miracles.
Yes.
And that, for persons who say that they really believe in God, that, they should still continue to exercise their faith, because God is a God of suddenlies, and he's a God who, takes care of his own.
I'm listening to you and I'm saying, boy, God, we could have listened to a sermon from the lady here. What on a thing? Not true. And it's my kind of sermon. I love the word. But Shalette, so I share. You see, everything what you talk about, maybe that's why we're connecting so well. Because I can identify with those. But there are those persons we know who struggle with the reality of God and the reality of miracles, I should say. Because how do we say to somebody who literally got up this morning, opened the fridge door and not see nothing in there, opened the cupboard and saw nothing in there, and say to them, hey, God is a provider? How do we say that to them? How do we say to them that, God is a miracle worker? How do we say that to them, Shalette?
Yes, God is a provider. God is a miracle worker. And you know what I say to people? And I'm being genuine now.
Yeah.
I say to people, wherever you are, whoever you are, that you have what you need to get to where you want to go.
Come on, girl.
And I'm going to tell you one last story. You have what you need. So I want to speak to persons, because honestly, when I approached Simone to do this interview, I said I really wanted this to bless persons, I believe that we all have what we need to get to where we want to go. And I'm going to share this last story with you. I remember it was 2014 when I was again out of money, because I was wrapping up my PhD, and I paid for my PhD out of my pocket. And I remember I needed $3,800 to finish school, and I just could not find $3,800. And I have a house in Jamaica. At the time I had a house in Jamaica. It was in need of drastic repairs. But I said to myself, since I didn't owe on that property, maybe the bank in Jamaica would lend me the $3,800. I applied for the loan, and they said no. They said the property could not carry the loan,
Level of equity.
Yeah, I mean, and $3,800 and they wouldn't give me. And they said also at the time my business wasn't doing well, so they don't see how I could pay the loan back. Fine. I have a property in Florida, so I flew up to Florida now. I mean, when I flew up to Florida, I have a friend. I won't even call her name. She was in the Turks and Caicos at the time. I had to borrow $100 to make up the plane fare. So I don't want people to hear me saying, I fly up here and fly up there. I think we did rich. No. I fly up to Florida. I begged the plane fare. And when I got there, I said, okay, my apartment that I have in Florida, maybe Bank of America would lend me some money, because, against the property or whatever. I approached them and they said no. And I started praying. I said, said, God, seriously, man. Oh, and I got a message from the university. They said if I did not finish that term, they were going to kick me out of the program. This is after doing 10 years in the doctoral program. Lord, my back was against the wall.
Yeah.
I remember when I went to Florida, my light cut off, my phone dead, me not have no phone service, me not have no light. It's like, I don't know where to turn.
Yeah.
And Simone, let me tell you, I kid you not. I started praying. I'm a prayer. I tell you, I'm a prayer to the world boss, and I'm a call God the world boss. I'm a prayer. I'm say, God, what me I gonna do? Because sometimes there comes a time in your life where I call it the Jacob moment, when me just hold on to God and say, God, me nah let go until you bless me. Me nah go let go. Me nah, and then I said, God, you need to sort this out because me try everything and it's not up to you. And let me tell you, the voices kept saying, you have what you need. I mean, I get cross. I say, God, I try everything. I mean, I have the money. I mean, I go finish school and whatever. Anyway, I started looking at what I have because the voice kept saying, you have what you need. You have what you need. And let me tell you something. I look outside and I saw my car and I said, maybe I should rent my car. And then if I rent my car, I could use that money to pay for school. And the Spirit was saying, no, if you rent your car and somebody hits it, then you're going to be in trouble. And then Simone, I just looked around me and I saw the apartment. And there was an answer. If I rent the apartment and live in the car, then I could get the rent and pay for school. But I said to God, God, you know what? This is the answer. I just get the answer. Sometimes we need to come out of our apartment and go live with the parents. That is the answer. You know, sometimes the answer is right there. You just need to look. And the answer came to me. Rent your apartment and live in the car. And let me tell you something, man. When I made that decision, I called my friend, the same friend that gave me the $100 from the Turks and Caicos. And I said, listen, do you know anyone who needs an apartment for 3 months? I want to rent this apartment for the term, for just for 3 months. But I want the person to be able to pay me the 3 months rent up front because I need to pay for school. And she said, actually, yeah, I know somebody who is coming to the States to have a baby and they need somewhere for 3 months. No, you tell me. Anyway, when the person came and they saw the apartment, they fell in love with it. And when they were paying me, they had a credit card or a debit card, and when they were about to pay me, I said, no, I don't want you to pay me any money. Just go on the university's website and pay my tuition. They paid my tuition. When I was about to walk through the door, I got a text message on my phone from a friend of mine. And she said, Shalette, I haven't seen or heard from you in a long time. I said to her, I am about to do a road trip around the US. And she said, a road trip? If you're doing a road trip, you need to come look for me. Remember now, people, by this time I'm homeless. I just give up my apartment. I'm about to walk through my door. And I said, okay, where you live? And she said, I'm in Orlando. I was in Fort Lauderdale. I put her address in my GPS and I went to Orlando. Guys, when I went to Orlando, she gave me a suite. And I want to say suite because it was 2 bedrooms I got for myself. Marble from floor to ceiling. So God had already prepared a place for me. God was just testing me to see, okay, let me see how much you want this PhD. I was willing to sleep in my car, give up my house. That was how much I wanted that PhD. That was how much I wanted to be successful educationally. So sometimes we have exactly what we need, just that we're not seeing it. Sometimes you just need to look. Just look around you. Look at what you have. We have what we need to get to where we want to go.
My God. Awesome message. Awesome message. No doubt God is still in the miracle working business. As I listen to you, Shalette, I said to myself, you know, God, I love when I hear successful people like yourself talk about Him. Because it allows us, because sometimes we tend to feel like, when we're at a certain level, God is not important, but He's important at every level.
Yes.
And so I'm listening to you, and so you wonder why you are so successful. There's no need to wonder, because all along, and you saying that you, whatever you want to classify, how you, the principles of God and how you address them, listen, you have made God your own, if you understand what I mean. You've developed your own relationship with Him. And so He has carried you all the way. Plus, I think, without a shadow of a doubt, I think your mom, somebody in your family has been praying for you.
Yes.
And so God has been opening doors for you. And so I just want to bless you and thank you so much for sharing. We are about to wrap up. But there is something I saw on your page I really want you to talk about. You have gotten very comfortable with yourself. You have gotten very comfortable with the fact that God works miracles in your life. God opens doors. You have allowed yourself to be led by the Lord. But you've also gone to the place of recognizing that there's a place to self-care. And so you did what I saw as a girl night out. Not a girl's night out, guys. She didn't do girls. She did a girl night out. Talk to us about that whole matter of self-care and getting your own self. You know, you dressed up and say, hey, I'm going to go date myself. Talk to us about that.
Yes, I do that. I do that very regularly. Maybe once every month or every 2 months. I would dress up and I would just take myself to a very nice spot.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do get a little extravagant because I remember once I went to Las Vegas for 2 weeks. But I would take myself out, and what I use that time to do is just to reflect. So I would think about all the things that I'm doing, and you know, I think about what I can do better, how I can help other persons. You know, when we started our conversation, I mentioned that one of the things that is very important to me is giving back. Giving back. So, you know, what can I do better? You know, where am I going? You know, what is my purpose on earth? You know, that kind of a thing. So I use my girl night out to just block everybody else out of my space and block everything out of, you know, my space, and just to reflect and figure out what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong, and maybe things that I need to change. And you know, something I want to say to persons too, when you're going through, you tend to want to think about yourself. You know, you tend to, boy, I don't have any money or whatever. My mother always tell me, well, my mother told me when I was growing up that there's always somebody worse off than you. You know, I remember that story about the man sitting under, a man who went up into a tree to eat a banana. That was his last banana. When he ate the banana and threw the skin on the ground, somebody on the ground actually picked up the skin and ate it. So, you know, that story that she told me when I was growing up, I think I was in high school, always made me reflect that, you know, no matter what is happening, there's always somebody that you can help. Not always somebody worse off. There's always somebody that you can stretch your hand to and help. So my girl night out is a time for reflection.
I'm gonna copy that. So I hope you don't mind. I'm gonna copy that. I mean, I'm always doing it with my girlfriends, right? We go do nails together, we go eat out and that kind of thing. But I've never taken myself out. And so I'm gonna take, as a matter of fact, let me back up. Years ago, before I got married, I remember the Lord saying to me that I need to learn to deal with me and be with me first before I can get somebody else in my space. And it wasn't until I started learning to accept me and dealing with my own company and, you know, just kind of doing a little me time that I found my husband. You know, but that's another thing. We don't want to get into that. But Shalette, I want to thank you so much for sharing. You've given me a chance to, as I sat listening to you, just to reflect on the things that have happened in my own life. And the truth is, the word of the Lord says, the goodness of the Lord leadeth to repentance. And meaning that it gives you a chance to want to reflect, because sometimes there are a number of things that have taken place in our lives and we've gotten to a place of it's me. This is I, if you understand what I mean. And so we don't give that kind of glory to the Lord. But when I listened to you a while ago, as I listened to you and reflected, I said, God, I got so much to thank you for.
Amen.
You've opened so many doors and, you know, that kind of thing. And so I just want to bless you.
Thank you, Simone.
I just want to bless you. I want to thank you. You reached out to me, and I was looking back at the WhatsApp last night, and I said, you know, she chased me down, and she said, Simone, I need to share my miracles. And so I want to thank you for being persistent, because somebody can identify, you know, and I do believe too that the Lord is taking this channel to another level.
Definitely.
So that we can see that, you know, he's really in the miracle business.
Definitely.
At every level. You know, So for those who are looking, and I know we didn't talk about your achievements in the world of education, because guys, let me tell you something. You know, if those of you who are watching, I know Dr. Shalette Ashman, go check her out on YouTube. You'll see what I'm talking about. But she's been responsible for so many of our children who are now adults in their own rights, becoming great stalwarts, and scholars in their own rights. And so I'm hoping that we'll get a chance to talk about that another time. But make sure you go check her out. So Doc, when is that book coming out?
Well, I think that book will be coming out very soon. I'm doing a final editing, and I'm going to release it on Amazon. It's God is Still in the Miracle Working Business.
Yeah. I noticed it said that it's an anthology. Is that what we should be expecting, or should we expect real life stories, like a memoir? What can we expect?
It's an anthology. What it is I've taken stories from myself and persons that I know, because I want everything that is written in that book to be factual.
Yes.
So a gentleman who was cured from cancer, stage 4. A woman who lost her house. It was foreclosed and she got it back. A lot of different miracles you'll find in that book, not just my stories. So it's an anthology, a collection of stories, but real stories.
Yes. All right, so we stay tuned for that. I would love, as soon as you've released it, let us know so that we can upload or update the episode with where persons can find your book.
Okay, thank you, Simone. Thanks for having me.
It was such a pleasure.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so guys, you've heard for yourself miracles. God still work miracles. You've heard this woman talk about from one end to the next. You know what I love about her miracle stories? It didn't just surround money, because I know some of you going to talk say it's just money, but you notice it wasn't just about money. You heard her talk about how the Lord saved her too. I mean, drank a full glass of bleach. You heard her talk about her friend, and how the Lord would have a simple thing, go wake her up, come turn on the remote. And maybe, guys, come to think of it, would you have gone to wake up your friend for just come turn on the TV for true? You have visitor in our house. But God still works miracles. He does some amazing things that blows our minds. Blow my mind over and over. But guys, listen, let me know if you've had a miracle and you want to share it with us. State it in the comment box, or of course head on over to Instagram, share with us, or if you want us to do another episode or something, let us know. I'd be only too happy to share. Thanking Dr. Ashman again for allowing us to use her space and sharing her story with us. Guys, make sure you go check her out. She's both on Instagram and on YouTube. Believe me, fabulous time over there. All right, guys, so enough of me. See you next week. We'll have another amazing, unique story. And of course, if you've not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Hey, guys. I thought I would share with you, for those of you looking for a Christmas gift or a New Year gift or a birthday gift, for that woman, that strong woman in your life, to offer the Uniquely Me Planner. Now, what can you find in the Uniquely Me Planner? You can find pages to write for each month. You have pages to write your goals, and we set it up so that those goals are smart, right? As you know, your goals need to be smart. So we have the specific, the measurable, the attainable, the relevant, and we put them in blocks so that you are able to fill them in accordingly. Also, you will find a daily to-do list, as well as for each day, if you need to put your calendar, what your calendar items will be, you have that as well. There's also a habit tracker, guys, or as well as a quote. There is a list for you to put what are your list of priorities in terms of things to be done. And of course, guys, we have pages and pages of that. We give you blank pages as well. So this is also, it is your diary, it's your planner, it's your time management tool, is what I would call it. I want to encourage women who are creatives, women who are executives out there as well. You are trying to find a way to be productive. Here is your tool. And so, guys, it's on Amazon. Just put in Uniquely Me Planner, or you can put in Simone Stewart and grab a copy of my Uniquely Me Planner. Guys, remember, Uniquely Me is uniquely you. Get your copy today.
am I really? Choices, choices, choices. In pursuit of a career? OMG, I'm a wife. Help, I am a mother. Oh, I'm in church. When do I get to be a woman that God called me to be? Uniquely Me covers the acrobatic endeavors of every woman to balance the responsibilities of being a mother, a wife, a professional, a church leader, a friend, yet still maintain her identity. I too am a mother, a wife, a trained minister of religion, a banker, an entrepreneur trying to balance the many hats that signifies my role. My book will help motivate and empower every woman who is really unique in her own way. Grab your copy today on Amazon because Uniquely Me is uniquely you.
Thank you for tuning in to Uniquely Me with Simone Stewart. Remember, Uniquely Me is uniquely you.